Welcome to the FeatherRide. I am Chris Featherstone, joined by this beautiful blue sky to the left of me. So I hope you guys enjoy. By the way, Isaiah, I noticed that you commented on my previous video. Yeah, so I noticed before that my left backlight was out, so I was about to get that fixed. It's funny that you mentioned that bulb, because I thought the bulb was the I know that there's something going on with the fastness of the light, and it was attached to my rear light being out. So, all right, how y'all doing? I want to talk about Don. I want to talk about some Don Lemon today. Some Don Lemon. So Don Lemon recently, exegetically, theologically, hermeneutically, broke down a little bit of bibliology and informed us that Jesus admitted that he was not perfect. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that was very revealing information, very interesting information given. But here's the thing, Mr. Lemon. So here's the thing. Let's just get to the point. Got about this is going to be about 10 more minutes here. Of course, to my destination is how we do it. So here's the deal. I am not tripping about Don Lemon's very poor assertion there, because it was very poor. Of course, it was a very poor assertion. Okay, but here's the deal. I'm not tripping about that. All right, because the Bible clearly says in Corinthians, the things of the Spirit are foolish to those who don't believe, to unbelievers. So unbelievers are going to say unbeliever things. I mean, that's what it boils down to. So, Don Lemon saying that. I mean, Megyn Kelly before, comparing Jesus to Santa Claus was her somehow good enough proof that Jesus was white. That was insane. From a liberal or a conservative standpoint, regardless of your, political leaning channel, whatever, people are going to say crazy things if they're not led by the Holy Spirit. I mean, they're going to say Jesus didn't admit he was perfect. Despite what Hebrews talks about, what 1 Peter 2 talks about, how sinless he was. What about Pilate? What about Pilate in John 18:38? Said, hey, I find no fault in this man. Even Pilate, the one who reluctantly used the importance of politics to to make a sentence on Jesus, although clearly he didn't agree with it because he was, what's so dope about Pilate though? I've read some theories that Pilate would eventually like come to Christ or be persuaded or more persuaded. In Acts 26, told Paul like, hey, you know what, man? You almost persuaded me, Doc. you almost persuaded me to be a Christian, Doc. But whatever comes to that. But I think what's so interesting about Pilate is that something we see now. We see that all the time as far as politics. And I've had conversations about this. Man, this lighting isn't that good from this angle, this camera angle here. So hopefully it changes. But that's a part of the FeatherRide. So here's the deal. What's so interesting about Pilate is that something that we see a lot nowadays. We see it a lot with people putting their politics in front of their Jesus or their interest or curiosity of learning more about Jesus. We saw that with Pilate. We saw that. We saw the power and unfortunate influence of politics when it comes to dealing with someone's pursuit of theology and how politics can influence that negatively. We saw that with Pilate. And we also saw in the same token, interestingly, we also saw an apologetics plea, because Pilate asked, what is truth? So that was a very interesting thing that was asked. So there was some curiosity there with Pilate that I'll give him the benefit of the doubt about when it comes to apologetics. And that's really a hard cry for many who are kind of struggling to figure out what is truth. And that's the importance of apologetics, man. What is truth? And it's a quest for Christians to answer that question to those seeking, to those who don't believe, to those who are even opponents to the faith. What is truth? That's a big deal, man. So Don Lemon. I'm not mad at Don Lemon for saying that, although it was quite erroneous. That's a beautiful sky, beautiful sky view in it. Not tripping about Don Lemon. Of course, it was crazy, but I'm not tripping that Don Lemon would say that, because he's not a sold out professed believer. You know what I mean? Like bold Christian or anything. If he was a Christian, the harshness would be much deeper when it comes to making that judgment upon him regarding that statement. According to 1 Corinthians 5, he would have been roasted. But here's my issue. Here's my issue with the Don Lemon situation. Many know that I've been a journalist for nearly a decade now. Sports and media journalist. I've written. I do mostly sports, mostly pro wrestling. That's my wheelhouse. But I've written many religious or faith-based articles, Christian-based articles. Go check my blog site out, VizUnited.com with a Z, VizionUnited.com, VizUnited.com. My latest blog is about close to 2 months ago. I don't I don't write many blogs that much anymore, but it was about I had to address Dr. Umar Johnson's erroneous claim about Nicaea. But as a journalist, journalist to journalist, there's my gripe, okay? That's my issue. When it comes to journalism, fact checking is paramount. Touch your neighbor and say paramount. Okay? Fact checking is paramount to making an assertion when it comes to media. It's only fitting for a journalist to do that as far as fact checking. Clearly, Don Lemon, as a journalist, failed miserably at fact checking whether Jesus admitted he was perfect. Now, the claim, if he's making that claim, he needs to back with evidence from a journalistic integrity standpoint. As a Christian, okay, and as a non-Christian, that's expected. As a journalist, that was a bad call. So that's my gripe on Don Lemon. As a journalist, it was poor ethics. It was just non-ethical for him to say something like that and not fact check it, because where did you get? And that assertion was pretty bold too. Where did you get that from, Don Lemon? So that was my gripe on Don Lemon. That was my biggest issue. As a non-Christian, expect those things. But as a journalist, come on, Doc. Come on, man. I was expecting better. So that's my thoughts on Lemon. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Man, these are fun. I'm really enjoying these. And thank you for joining me on the FeatherRide.